Thanks for tuning in to our little lesson on container gardening. This is a little bit of a lesson on how to use fabric pots, or called grow bags, in order to have a very successful garden. You can grow almost any size with these. So what is a grow bag? A grow bag is a felt-like material woven into these pots, and it's made out of recycled plastic drinking bottles. These are used because they allow the plants to grow very freely and very vigorously, and the root systems work quite well. So the root system is really important in a plant, especially in vegetables you're growing, in order to absorb the nutrients to make a very healthy and efficient plant. What happens in plastic containers is when you grow them in solid plastic containers, you get the roots wrapping around the container, and this affects the absorption of the roots. When you use fabric containers, root pots, they have an air circulation factor around the outside of them, which causes the roots to be self-pruning, because the roots will only grow to a certain distance from the outside of the container. They're easy to water, they're very mobile and quite durable, and you can grow almost anything in the root bags. There are so many different ways to grow, and there's so many different designs. There's small ones, big ones, huge ones that you can grow in, and some people grow all of their vegetables in grow bags. There's also a self-watering option that you can utilize. And when you use the grow bags, you can put a covering or a mulch on top, so there is no weeding. So if you have self-watering and no weeding, it's almost effortless to grow all of your vegetables in these grow pots. So what is the growing medium? Well, the growing medium is a potting mix, not a potting soil. And that's because it has ingredients that allow the moisture to be absorbed and held onto, so that it can feed the plants even more efficiently. And there are a number of ways to do this. You can buy ready-made, but it's so much easier when you make your own. And you can use peat moss and compost or manure, and you add 1 part of compost to 2 parts of peat moss, and you add about a coffee can size of either perlite or vermiculite, which again helps the potting mix hold moisture. You can add a handful of Epsom salts, and you can add some worm castings also, which makes it very efficient. Now, what do you use to mix it in? You can get a large mixing tub. That's also a good measuring stick too if you're using a wheelbarrow. So you can fill up the large mixing tub with two parts of peat moss, so 2 of those, and 1 of those would be compost, and a couple of coffee cans of perlite, and add some worm castings, and then mix it all together. And that would be your mix for adding to your root bags. So one more tip, and that is making this magic ingredient we call compost tea. So to make it completely organic, you don't use any chemical fertilizers, you use compost tea. And compost tea is basically you use compost, and you put it in a sock or a bag, or you can even make it out of landscape cloth. I've done that. And you can make a huge batch in a 25-gallon trash can, and you can also make a smaller batch in a 5-gallon bucket. What you add is you add some molasses, which helps to stimulate the growth of the bacteria from the compost, stimulates the growth of the microbes, and forms an amazing source of food for your plant. Definitely use dechlorinated water, and you can use an aquarium pump with an air stone to provide the oxygenation, which keeps it from going anaerobic or stinky. And in 24 to 36 hours, you have your ready-made compost tea to use in your garden. So there's a 5-gallon bucket, a huge garbage can, the compost, air pump, and the air stone, and of course the molasses, and you can add some worm castings in there also. So you just put the compost in a porous bag, or you make your own from the landscape cloth. Add the non-chlorinated water to your container. Drop compost bag into the water. Add molasses. Drop the air stone into the water and turn on the pump and wait 24 to 36 hours. Now you want to water this down so that it's probably 5 to 1. So you'd put a gallon to 4 gallons or 5 gallons of water, a gallon into 5 gallons of water, and then water your garden with it. And it makes an excellent source of nutrients for your garden. Thanks for tuning in.